You are watching On Demand. Please do not try to vote or enter any competition or other interactivity in this programme, as it may not count and you may still be charged.
Today on your Loose Women Live, it's Kay Adams, Kelly Bryan, Linda Robson, and Jane Moore.
Welcome to your Thursday Loose Women. Linda lurking behind me there in her strange way.
I'm coming up the rear.
Let's start as the way we don't go on. Coming up, we are talking about the passing of Hollywood icon Raquel Welch, who's died aged 82. Speaking of her sex symbol status, the 60s pin-up once said, once somebody says you are something, you try to be it. So we're revealing the times we've been put in a box and asking whether being beautiful can actually be a curse. I'm not sure I'll know the answer to that one.
You will.
And remember this chap?
Whenever I close my eyes, I'll see your face.
Oh, he played troubled teen Craig Harris in Coronation Street for over 20 years when he was aged just 12. Now he's one of the most sought-after actors in the West End. Richard Fleishman will be telling us about his fascinating new show exploring artificial intelligence and Alzheimer's disease at 1 o'clock. Then he is Strictly's resident Mr Nasty. Now Craig Revel Horwood is flexing his villainous side once again as Miss Hannigan in Annie. He's going to be taking us behind the scenes and telling us how dance helped him escape his own tricky childhood. Now, this is the case that is preoccupying the news headlines at the moment, isn't it? Lancashire police investigating the case of missing Nicola Bulley. They made a statement yesterday about the mum of two. They said, we have described how Nicola had some vulnerabilities at the time that she went missing, and we just wanted to expand on that a little. Sadly, it's clear from speaking to Paul and the family that Nicola had in the past suffered with some significant issues with alcohol, which were brought on by her ongoing struggles with the menopause, and that these struggles had resurfaced over recent months. Now, many have criticised this move, some people saying that it's made them feel very uncomfortable, others questioning how can this possibly help the investigation. It's a very febrile atmosphere around this case, Jane, isn't it? Do you think the police were right to reveal, deeply personal information?
Well, the missing piece of the jigsaw in this at the minute for me is whether they had the family's approval to do so.
Yeah. Funny enough, I do have a statement here, lengthy, I won't read it all out, but at the end it does say, we have explained to Nicola's family why we have released this further information, and we would ask that their privacy is respected at this difficult time. So certainly a conversation has been had, I think. Yeah,
and I think, in a way, I feel sorry for the police in this, because people all along have been saying, why are you not treating this like a crime? If you remember, right at the very beginning, they said, we're not looking for a third party, we know something that you all don't. But they didn't say what that was, and they've had repeated criticism. Everybody go, why are you not treating this like a crime? So now they've released information to explain, and now they're having all this criticism rain down on their head. So, I do sort of feel that it's a very complex case. I mean, I've been on a lot of crime scenes in my time, and the police work incredibly hard. They will want to find her as much as anybody else. And sometimes there are just cases that are a complete mystery. And everything about police work is as much about elimination as it is about finding evidence. And if they are being bombarded with thousands and thousands of leads from armchair detectives that go nowhere, that must be incredibly frustrating, because they have to check all of that, and it takes up a lot of police time.
I suppose it's the personal nature of this information. I mean, I saw somebody saying, this is her reputation ruined. I mean, why someone's reputation should be ruined because they may have an alcohol problem, I don't know. I thought we'd moved past that. I mean, Linda, you have been incredibly open about your struggles in the past.
Yeah. A few years ago, I had lots and lots of problems. I turned to alcohol, and I had really, really bad depression. And if I'd gone missing, I would be happy for them to say, can you look look out for this woman because she has got problems, she's got mental health problems at the moment and that. And I don't see why this is going to tarnish her reputation at all, because all of us have different problems at different times in our lives and everything. Yeah. And it's just going to make the public more aware and be looking out for her if she is out there somewhere, surely.
Yeah. Exactly, that it galvanises, it makes everybody the kind of detective that you want them to be, which is to be alert, to look out for somebody who has vulnerabilities.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's weighing in, though.
Years ago, when I presented Crime Watch Daily, the ill-fated Crime Watch Daily, and a woman went missing and her son appealed to the show, and we put a picture up of her and we said she has vulnerabilities, she had mental health issues, and within the course of that show, a member of the public driving saw her walking along the road. Wow. And she was found. Wow. And so it makes everybody look out for somebody that might be, you know, walking around or vulnerable or... So if the family don't have an issue with it, I don't have an issue.
What about you, Kelly? How do you feel about it?
I guess my concern really is trust. My personal position is trust for the police. And I think people have every right to ask those questions. I'm not talking about sort of keyboard warriors. I'm talking about those people that come from a place of an informed place where they've done their reading, they've done their research from what's available. The kind of people that call into talk shows that want to ask questions.
That's not necessarily all that's available. It's just what you know from reading online.
I agree, from what's available, which is why they're asking questions, because maybe not everything is available to them. So I think as a member of the public, we are entitled to ask those questions because, you know, unfortunately...
Is it helpful, though?
Well, yeah, because, I mean, the police, historically, we can look at the evidence and know, and some of it's positive and some of it hasn't been so positive. We can look at the Stephen Lawrence case, where there are a plethora of issues and failings by the police, whereas that family were right to ask those questions.
Yeah.
The police officer that actually solved the whole Stephen Lawrence case in the end was right to ask those questions. So asking questions is what helps to solve cases. And I'm not saying that, you know, it's right to, you know, put things on social media, you know, attacking...
Or turn up at the scene yourself.
Yeah, turn up at the scene yourself, or attacking, in this case, the partner. That's not what I'm talking about, but I do think we have a right to ask those questions. If we look at the case of David Carrick, who was a Met police officer, or Wayne Couzens, there are so many historical cases where the police have had catastrophic failings. So we, as the public, I mean, we're paying public,
but there are
160,000
police officers in this country, so to besmirch them all on the basis of David Carrick and Wayne Couzens.
I didn't besmirch them all.
No, but it's like you can't take two cases and say that the police have made mistakes. You know, listen, I just think the guys on the ground, the police officers, they're going into the water, they're putting very long hours in, and I think we have to trust them.
I didn't say that... I've not in any way said anything about this case in terms of how they are handling it. But what I am saying is we have a right to ask questions.
Yeah. And I mean, and you're absolutely right to point out those particular cases, and the police have apologised, rightly so, in all of those. And I've got these apologies in front of me right now. I suppose what I might question is whether or not that is useful when it is a live case, when an investigation is absolutely ongoing at the moment and everything is critical. I'm not convinced that everybody weighing in with the theories...
I'm so sorry. But if Doreen Lawrence hadn't asked the questions that she'd asked when her son Stephen had been murdered at that time, there's no way that the pressure would have been applied to the organisation.
She's perfectly entitled to. It's not Mrs Scroggins in Newcastle asking those questions from her kitchen when she has no involvement in the case whatsoever. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, the family, absolutely, the family have every right to question an investigation at every single step of the way. I totally agree. But the whole world and its wife is weighing in on this one. And that's where I wonder how useful it is.
And as Detective Superintendent Rebecca Smith, you could see yesterday, she was very stressed about the whole thing. And she said she's been a police officer for 29 years, and she has never, ever known this level of involvement by members of the public.
But that's because of the level of failures that we've had just recently, and they are very recent, so that's why tensions are higher and people feel more inclined to ask questions.
Yeah. Well, the one thing we can agree on, obviously, is that we hope that there will be a positive resolution to this case for Nicola Bulley and, indeed, for her family. Still to come, Craig Revel Horwood and actor Richard Fleishman join us later. But coming up next, how offended are you by an ageist joke? I'm getting used to them. We'll be revealing what Paul Hollywood said about Prue Leith and Frankie Bridge. If you're watching, I've got a bone to pick with you. Back in a bit. To see you again. Child soap actor turned West End superstar Richard Fleishman will be opening up about his latest role and his Valentine's Day disaster earlier this week. Yes, I think Linda crashed it. And
I'd like to have.
he always gets a 10 from us. Craig Revel Horwood will be telling us about hitting back at his critics and his never-ending love for Strictly. Yes, you and me both, Craig. It is competition time now, and we've got an amazing bucket list prize for you today. Lisa Snowden has all the details you need.
Oh, Winter, you've been dragging on, and I really need some sunshine to cheer me up. Luckily for you at home, that's exactly what this competition will do for the lucky winner and 3 family members or friends. Yes, you lot could be escaping to the gem of the Caribbean as we're giving you the chance to win a trip of a lifetime in Barbados and a huge £30,000 in tax-free cash. What a treat! You and 3 guests of your choice could be flying premium economy to this tropical paradise where you'll enjoy a 7-night stay at 5-star O2 Beach Club and Spa. You'll get to experience a blissful all-inclusive getaway staying in a 2-bedroom oceanfront suite. It really is a holiday of a lifetime to enjoy in the next 18 months. So that's a beautiful £30,000 in tax-free cash and a dream holiday in the glorious sunshine. Get me on that plane now for your chance to win big. Text prize to 86060. Text costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to the website, entries cost £2. Call 09068 786060. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and phone number to DY07 PO Box 7558 Derby DE1 0NQ. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close on Friday the 10th of March at 3 p.m. Good luck!
Oh, I love that dreamy voice. I was under a palm tree there. Yeah, and you could be too. But we've got some sad news. Hollywood star Raquel Welch has died, aged 82, after a short illness. She was known for films including Fantastic Voyage and 1 Million Years BC, and also, and this is very much of the time, of course, for her sex symbol status. Speaking about her image, she once said, "The stupidity of it is that once somebody says that you're something, then you try to be it. You get tired, you wake up ugly, you don't have anything new to say to people, and you feel like a lemon that's had all the juice squeezed out of it." Great quote. Can being the beautiful one actually be a curse? I'm not qualified to answer, Kelly.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, babe.
Can it, though?
Well, for me, I mean, when I was in the band, people used to say, oh, you were only chosen because you were the pretty one. And I was like, I've never seen myself as anything particularly special. But, you know, they were like, oh, you know, for marketing purposes, you need to be able to sell the band, so you're the pretty one. And I really took offence to that because what are you saying? I've got no talent or no skill. I don't bring anything else to the table. Not that being pretty is a bad thing. You know, it's lovely to be attractive and even more importantly, to feel attractive, because you can be the most stunning person in the world, but if you don't feel it inside, it doesn't make any difference. But for me, I found that, I just found it annoying because I was like, no, I'm here for more than that. And I just hope really that I've proven that over the years, because now I'm out of the band and I still have a career.
Well, God, absolutely, absolutely. Linda, you were always pretty child, weren't you? And so, God, I've got 3 of you. You were the runner-up to Miss Pears. You were a little Miss Pretty actress.
I suppose I was all right back in the day.
You were all right. You were all right
there. Back now, I think, yeah, I was all right. I was blooming gorgeous. Look at me there. Lovely.
Oh, you
I look a bit like Lila there, don't I?
Yeah.
Like now, then when you get a bit older. So when I was younger, people used to go, oh, how old are you? And you go 21. They go, oh, you only look 17. You think, oh, lovely. And now I've got to 64, people go, how old are you? And I go, how old do you think? And then they go, 67. I go, wrong! I'm 64. So
That's a dangerous question, isn't it?
I know, you should never ask
And
me,
when
you
people
should,
say to me, guess how old I am, I never will.
Oh, I always go down.
Yeah.
I go down at least 10 years.
Everybody knows that everybody's doing it. We just all go along with it, don't we? What were you put in the... I mean, you were a runner-up to Miss Pears.
I was,
just a comment.
1967.
Yeah. Wait to see this photograph. Look at little
There I am,
Jane.
getting the runners-up check. Susan Wood beat me. If you're watching, Susan.
Oh, God.
I haven't forgotten.
I would so love Susan Wood to get in touch. Please, Susan, if you're out there. Please.
But listen, that was just a one-off. My mum sent in a photo. Yeah, I got through to the final. It was a bit of fun for a week or whatever, but, you know, I was just normal, really. And I'm very happy with being normal. I don't want to be... I've met a lot of very beautiful people, and you see the reaction when they walk into the room, and people react to them because of what they look like rather than what they're saying or who they are as a person. And I think that can make you quite insecure. And then, of course, as you get older, if that's your only currency, when your looks start to fade, you feel empty.
Yeah.
Were you aware of that, Kelly? People just reacting to you because of your looks?
No, because I don't think I'm particularly anything, and people didn't react to me in any way. I don't think I'm beautiful.
You're gorgeous.
Oh, thank you. It was just the people around at the time that said that I was chosen to be in the band because of those reasons.
All right, OK.
That sounds like jealousy to me.
Yeah.
But I think in the business that we're... Or, you know, if you're on telly or if you're, you know, in a band or whatever, then you do tend to get put into a bit of a box, don't you?
Yeah.
Like a sort of they are the serious one.
I'm the serious one.
I'm the dopey one.
Dopey?
No.
You're Nanny Linda.
Yeah.
That's what you are.
Yeah.
But I think in normal life, you know, everybody's got all sorts of characterisations.
Do people put you in a box, Jane, as in, like, journalistic, always pretty practical?
I suppose, a bit like, I think when you do journalism, you do get put into the sort of slightly headmistressy box because you're sort of going, well, the statistics say, you know, or whatever. But
then when
I'm OK with that. It doesn't bother me.
But when you were a kid then, and, you know, clearly you had that Miss Pears thing, were you put in that box then?
No. I mean, 1967, I don't think anybody at my school even knew I was in the Miss Pears competition. And no, I never felt that way. I mean, I remember shows how out of date it was, the 60s, my primary school headmaster, my mum went to see him about my maths or something, which to this day remains atrocious. And he sort of said to her, he said, oh, she'll be fine, she's pretty. Imagine a teacher saying that now, they'd be fired on the spot.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, my mum was outraged, but
Yeah. Oh, well, talking of age, as we have been, it was only last week that Prue Leith, who turns 83 this weekend, joined us, and she's spoken out about her fellow Bake Off judge, Paul Hollywood, teases her about how old she is. She says, he goes on as if I was his great-great-grandmother, says, come on, dearie, pretends I need help down the stairs, that I dribble, and I can't hear. I have to say, I'm feeling Prue's pain here, and I'm really hoping that Frankie Bridges is watching this, because the day that she turned round to me and went, come on, Nana, still strikes pain in my heart. Do you know the funniest thing? You were there that night. Were you there, Linda?
I
You were
was.
there as well. It was, I think it was in the middle of COVID. We got a brief uplift in COVID, and we all went to a Grease sing-along. You'd organised that,
did.
didn't you? It was great.
And you were the life and soul, by the way.
It was torrential rain. I don't know what happened to me, what I'd been drinking, but I was sandy.
He was driving the boat.
I was driving the boat, and I was Sandy and Danny rolled into one, and I was giving it large. And I thought, I was just in the moment having a fantastic time, practising my dancing. That didn't go well. And then Frankie said to me, come on, Nana. Oh, my God, the world collapsed around me. It was just a whoa.
I don't, you see, it doesn't bother me when people make things like that, because I just think it doesn't apply to me. I'm like in La La Land. I still feel like I'm 40 or whatever. But
It's funny, though, because, I mean, she still does it. But actually, I like it, and it's affectionate, you know, and it's... You know,
although,
just think
talking
it's
of age,
funny.
can I just point out, I have got dry eye. Has anybody had dry eye here? I think that's an age.
Dry other things.
Yeah,
So
me too.
Everything's dry.
dear.
I look like I'm crying. I've constantly got this, like...
Kids are crossing their legs.
Dry skin.
Constantly got a tear down here, and people obviously think I'm getting emotional, but I'm not. And if anyone watching has got a solution for me, I mean, I am using the drops, but it's not working, so...
Yeah. I was just thinking about my mum in terms of age. So my mum has married a toy boy. And...
Lucky cat.
I know. But she still gets... People go, oh, you know, your mum looks like your sister. But my mum actually gets quite embarrassed about it. She feels like, you know... I don't know, but she just gets quite embarrassed about that kind of thing and feels like quite... what's the word? When you feel conscious.
But self-conscious, yeah.
Self-conscious of it.
But I would have thought she would... Well, see, there I was going to say I would have thought she would have loved it, because I would probably love that.
Yeah.
But then when you say that, what you're saying is young is good and old is bad, you know, which is, you know, why we have all of these blooming jokes in the first place, isn't it? But how do you feel about that if somebody, you know, saw that you and your mum together and they said, oh, is this your sister?
I'm really proud of her. My mum looks amazing. She goes to the gym, she works out, she takes care of herself, and, you know, she's finally got to that part in her life where she's retired and can look after herself. So I'm so proud of her. And people say, look like her, I'm like, yes! Because I think, well, in a few years, this is what I've got to look forward to.
Yeah,
so,
you've got great genes. Yeah. That is good, that is good. Well, we have got two great guests coming up. We've got Craig Revel Horwood, who's going to be telling us about playing the child-hating Miss Hannigan in Annie. And we're going to need to protect him from Linda. From the Corrie Cobble to the West End stage, Richard Fleishman is here. Revealing all about his new show alongside TV legend Anne Reid, who he first met when he was just 8 years old. And actually, Linda is going to be occupied because she is going to meet her nemesis.
I am.
Yes, that's next. Drama, betrayal, gossip and heartache. It can only mean one thing. It is Super Soap Month. We'll be joined by the bosses who masterminded all the sensational stories and twists and turns that keep audiences guessing and decide which relationships bloom and which ones are doomed. Super Soap Month. This month on Loose Women. Welcome back to Thursday's Loose Women. Bringing you some sunshine today. It's Linda Robson, Jane Moore, Kelly Bryan and me, Kay Adams. Still to come, Annie's brilliant Miss Hannigan, hence the music there. Craig Revel Horwood is going to be telling us about donning his dancing shoes, as well as opening up about the important role that dancing played during his troubled childhood. Poor Jane there, still got that wee bit of tissue in your eye. You'll be glad to know that we've had people getting in touch with advice that we're going to pass on to Angela, Mal and Sarah in particular. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, ladies.
There you go.
Really nice.
You can go through that after the show. Now, before we speak to Richard Fleishman, we've got a special guest in the audience.
We have.
Nanny Linda's nemesis. So, yeah, Linda, perhaps you could explain.
So Nanny Brenda's in the front row today.
The other nanny.
The other nanny. We get on really, really well, and we've both got in common that we love our grandchildren. Unfortunately, she's got a lot more grandchildren than I have. I've only got 2. How many you got?
6.
6. She's got 6. She's greedy, isn't she? So we have this sort of gentle sort of competition between each other. So if I have Lila and Betsy, so we take it in turns. Sundays they come to my house, and the following Sunday they go to Nanny Brenda. So then they take pictures of my roast potatoes and they send them to Nanny Brenda, and then she sends hers back to us and that. So the grandchildren said that Nanny Brenda's potatoes are better than mine. She's done that too well, because you use goose fat, don't you?
Yes.
I use sunflower oil.
I can't help it if I'm a better cook than you.
They say. So I make fairy cakes. Not only the Viota ones, I'm not a great cook or anything, so I make cakes, and the grandchildren are there who ice them and everything. They go, Nanny Brenda don't do it like that. I go, don't she? Well, Nanny Linda does. So, but we get on really, really well.
Yeah,
He's got a lovely son. He's married to my daughter, and we've got a really, really good relationship, haven't we?
We have indeed, yes.
And the other thing that happened was that Nanny Brenda's got a dog called Bailey. So the grandchildren kept saying, we're going around Nanny Brenda's to see Bailey, so I had to get a dog. So I've got a dog, Dolly, now.
Our dog's a lot bigger than yours.
I know.
Granny Brenda's feisty. I love it. Are you better at anything than Granny Brenda?
Presenting.
I'll try my hardest.
Oh, God. Oh, that's nice. Well, it's lovely to meet you.
Yeah,
Lovely
thank
to meet you. Now, today's first guest has grown up in the spotlight. You'll remember him as troubled teen Craig Harris on Corrie, aged just 12. In the 20 years since, he's gone on to star in dramas like Call the Midwife. He's earned himself an Olivier Award nomination and become one of the West End's lead actors. He joins us now. Please welcome Richard Fleishman. Welcome, Richard. Don't worry, I've got her under control. No, I haven't, but Granny Brenda does.
Oh, where you gone?
I washed, especially.
Oh, did you? Thank you. Thank God for that.
Yeah, well, actually, clearly, I don't have her under control, so I absolutely lied. But we were talking earlier about being put in a box, and we're only going to do one mention, I promise you, because you've done so much in your career. But you must have got put in that Corrie box for a long time.
Yes, yeah, of course. Yeah. But then there's two ways of looking at it. If you look at it like it's a negative, then at the end of the day, it's Coronation Street. It's one of the biggest shows in the world.
Sarah Lancashire's done all right.
Well,
with
exactly.
It.
So, yeah, I just think it's something to be very proud of, to be part of such an institution. And I think it was Denise Welch used to say they'll play that Corrie theme tune at a funeral. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just stays with you that long, but why not? It's something to be very proud of. Yeah.
Well, and also just that experience of being a child star. You know, I mean, one that Linda shares, actually.
Yeah.
You were, what, 12 to 16?
Yeah.
I mean, what was your awareness of what was going on at that time?
It's funny, I think being as young as I was really helped. Because I remember my first day on the cobbles, walking down. I didn't have a nerve in my body, just walking down, just like, hey, Vera, you know what I mean? Just like totally at ease with it. And now, any time I start a new job, the first day, you're just a nervous wreck. You know, that's just what happens as you get older and you realise that it's new people and it's the pressure. And I guess it's the expectation, because you come with some kind of expectation now. You're an adult, you should know what you're doing. But I just remember just rocking up and loving it and getting to miss some school.
I loved it as well, because I started when I was 10 years old,
Yeah.
so 2 years younger than you. But I actually absolutely loved it, because I never had to go to school, so we'd have a tutor. Did you have a tutor?
I did indeed.
Do about an hour's work a day.
It was a little more than an hour.
You get well looked after, get all your food brought to you, nice clothes, everything. I loved it.
Oh, it was lovely, yeah.
It was nice, wasn't it?
It was,
I know,
it really
yeah.
was.
Have you got happy memories of it?
Very happy.
Yeah,
and still some of my best friends are from the show, yeah, absolutely.
So tell us about Marjorie Prime. So this is your first sort of non-musical role on stage,
It is, yeah. I'm really excited. It's a very different thing, because it's just a four-hander piece. It's by an American writer called Jordan Harrison. And he became very interested in AI and where we're heading as a society. So basically, we find ourselves a little bit in the future, maybe 40, 50 years, and Marjorie, who's played by the wonderful Anne Reid. If she doesn't like me calling her Anne, I have to call her Annie. So the gorgeous Annie Reid. And she has dementia. She's about 88 years old. And she lives in a world where we can bring back, as a projection, dead relatives. And she's brought back, to sort of keep her company through her declining cognitive state, her husband, who died sometime before, but she doesn't bring him back in his 70s, she brings him back in his early 30s.
Well, you would, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Well, so I play Annie's husband, yeah.
Fantastic.
So is this kind of in hologram type form then?
Yeah, absolutely. So imagine the holograms we have now on stage, like when Tupac does a concert or whatever, but imagine that in 50 years where it would be completely indecipherable from, it's like they're in the room, they sound exactly like them, they look exactly like them, however, you can't interact with them, and they don't come back with any memories, so you need to teach them who they are. So it's a really, really interesting piece, and it kind of explores what it is to be human, you know, the nature of memories and all of that kind of stuff. But it's also, we have an amazing director, Dominic Dromgoole, and an amazing cast. We have Tony Jayawadena and Nancy Carroll, and it's just an amazing thing, and it's very funny, and it's very sort of obviously touching and very moving, and covers quite sort of deep subjects.
And so you obviously got into musicals first after leaving Corrie. For us non-actors here, what's the difference between acting on television and acting on stage? Is it more about projection? It's sort of a smaller thing, isn't it, when you're on TV?
I mean, I guess that's a good way of describing it. I think when you're on stage, obviously, there's a performance.
Gotta hit the back row.
Absolutely, but and then when it's TV, it's obviously a lot more. You want to keep it a lot more real and stuff. But the nature of the two things doesn't necessarily change. You're trying to inhabit a character and tell a story as best as possible. So, but the two, I think the two feed each other. You know, I love the chance to get to do both, sorry.
Amazing. I want to talk about your lovely mum.
Ah, my lovely mum, yeah.
Yeah, because we've worked together. Hello, Mum. Hi, Sue. How are you?
Watching.
Are you
She'll
okay?
be watching.
I want to talk about your mum because she's Brookside's possibly coming back. Do we know any more
I
about
only
that?
found this out
Yeah.
yesterday. Yeah, apparently so. How exciting.
I know. Is Mum excited about that?
I'm sure she will be. Oh, look at her there. Yeah, she was amazing in that show. I mean, I was allowed to watch certain episodes as growing up. Some of them were a little bit past my bedtime, but yeah, it was an amazing show and such a great following.
And did that sort of those formative years? Did any of that inform what you were to do later? Did Mum inspire you? Did any of that?
Well, Mum and Dad. You know, like I grew up with obviously both of them being around the industry fully, and all of their friends were in the industry, so it was just everything I knew. In fact, to the point where Annie, she said the first time we ever met was when she came round to the house. We used to live in the same village growing up, bizarrely.
Right.
She was friends with my parents, and she came round and she met me. I was 8 years old, and I ran down the stairs in my pyjamas to say hello. And she went, "And now you're my husband." So who would have thought? Yeah.
Fantastic.
Now, listen, we've had Valentine's Day, and I know you're engaged. Were you able to sort of do a big number for Valentine's Day?
Well, sadly, no, because Celinda, my fiancée, is in rehearsals.
What did you say, Linda?
Linda, my fiancée. Celinda, she's in rehearsals. She's playing Sarah Brown in Guys and Dolls at the Bridge. So she was working late. We did have plans, but they had to change. So I went to jiu-jitsu and rolled around with 40 sweaty men on Valentine's Day. It wasn't quite what I'd had
Right
in
up
mind.
your street.
You'll have to come with me next time.
Suddenly Linda's going to go home and look up jiu-jitsu. 40 sweaty men you're going to do. Oh, well, it's been lovely to have you here, Richard. So Marjorie Prime, is the name, and you're on now?
No, we open on the 3rd of March at the Many A Chocolate Factory, and all the details, if I've missed anything out, you can just go to the website on Many A
I love
Chocolate
that
Factory.
theatre.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, I'm very excited.
It's a great concept. Thanks so much.
Thank you
Richard
for having
Fleishman,
me.
everyone. Next, another man making his mark on stage. Strictly's Mr. Nasty, Craig Revel Horwood. We'll be telling us about playing even nastier, this Hannigan and Annie. No acting necessary, Craig. He is with us after this. Fabulous! Craig Revel Horwood joins us, but first it's competition time. Your chance to win a luxury tropical getaway and £30,000. Here's Lisa Snowdon with how to enter.
If you're dreaming about escaping to the sunshine, well, this competition prize is for you. And remember, we need to find a winner for every prize. We're giving you the chance to win £30,000 in red hot cash, plus an unforgettable holiday in a tropical paradise. And the great news is that you have 18 months to take it. You and 3 guests could be jetting off in style to Barbados for 7 sun-soaked nights, and will get to stay at the 5-star O2 Beach Club and Spa. Staying in a 2-bedroom oceanfront suite, you will unwind in luxury with gourmet dining, spa experience, and aquatic adventures. To make sure you make the most of this unforgettable trip, we're also throwing in £30,000 in tax-free cash. You could spend it here. In fact, you can do whatever you want. It would all be yours. For the chance to win a dream prize, text prize to 86060. Text costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to the website, entries cost £2. Call 09068 786060. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and phone number to DY07 PO Box 7558 Derby DE1 0NQ. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close on Friday the 10th of March at 3 p.m. Good luck!
Now, our next guest has been keeping us entertained with his savage put-downs for the last 20 series of Strictly Come Dancing. I should know. Now, Craig Revel Horwood has stepped out from behind the judging panel and onto a stage near you as he returns to play the wonderfully wicked Miss Hannigan in Annie. Please welcome the fabulous Craig Revel Horwood. to give you a 10. Had to
Thank
give
you very
a
much for
10.
that.
There we
Make
go.
my way to sense.
That was very
where I
good.
belong.
Yes.
Yes. That was very nifty, you with your dodgy hips and everything.
I know, dodgy hip, but actually the balls of my feet are absolutely killing me.
Don't say things like that when Linda's here.
I'll give him a rub
It
for
must
you,
be
love.
terrible. It must be terrible for you having two sex symbols on today's
Exactly.
show. I mean,
Is that me and
leave
you?
the best to last. Of course it is.
So that's
but
the
they are-
heels.
The heels. I've forgotten
Oh, really?
how torturous they are. So.
Does that now give you a bit of sympathy for the female contestants on Strictly?
Strictly.
He's got
Dancing?
none.
No, but isn't
No,
it true
they've
that
had
you can
months to
put...
get used to it.
Isn't it true you can put pile cream on your feet? That's really good for
Well, I
them.
was going to ask you because I knew you would know, darling. I will
sure
look
now you
into
told me that.
I'll look into that this afternoon. I'm not joking.
For you.
So this is you back on the road again. I
Yeah.
mean, you just finished the Strictly tour, and then it's you out here with Annie.
Well,
Stay at home, man.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And any opportunity I can get to play this fantastic character, I take. You know, she is just wonderful. A completely misunderstood woman who is searching for love, and she's stuck in this terrible, terrible environment with all of these ghastly orphans.
She's horrible!
And any wonder she drinks, darling. I mean, that's what I love about her. She's either drunk or hungover in every single scene. So you can actually have a lot of fun with the character. I love it.
But of course, you are working with children, and a lot of
Yeah.
people would be maybe surprised by that, given you being on Strictly. But is that a character on Strictly as well?
Well, it sort of is. I mean, I've been cast as the villain because of the nature of the panto-social nature of Strictly. What I'm saying is the truth. It's
Yeah.
just the audience don't particularly like it. Most people that come on the show don't like it.
No, they don't.
But yeah, well, no one really wants to hear the truth, do they? But you know, I don't like to wear, you know.
Well, you've been in that
gloves.
situation yourself now, though, because you've done the Masked Dancer, and we'll
I
have
have
a little chat
Yeah,
about
that was really frightening.
How did it feel
actually.
to be judged?
I didn't like it one little bit, but I deserved it. That's what I thought. I need to prove to the world, actually, that I'm up for it. You know, I can dish it
you
out.
can
I think
take it.
Yeah, I think you've got to be able to take it in
yeah.
life in that way.
People might be surprised to know you're actually quite nice, aren't you?
Don't spread business rumors. I'll never work again, darling. We don't need to know the truth now.
Craig, I wanted to ask about your childhood, because when you started out in dance, you know, dance and boys and all of that didn't really go.
Well, no,
so-
not back in the 70s.
Yeah.
And I'm from Ballarat, which is near Melbourne in Australia. And, of course, it's very ochre, very outback.
Yeah,
You know, and being a ballet dancer is just not acceptable. So I hid that at school. And the reason I started dancing and put up with the teasing and all the comments at school and everything else was because my father was a desperate alcoholic, an abusive one, and dance was the only way for me, really, to escape.
But you know that scene in Billy Elliot
domesticity.
when he talks about this
well-
feeling of electricity? Did you have that? Did you always just feel you had a dancer in there?
Well, no, it just made me forget about everything, and I looked in the mirror and I could fly. That's how I felt that I was free, you know, it just gave me that wonderful, wonderful feeling. And I had that every time I go on stage, bizarrely.
Still?
You know, still.
Really?
I don't think that ever leaves you. I left when I was 30 to become a director choreographer, and then I did that for 16 years. It was panto, actually, that put me back into the swing of, you know, back on the boards, so to speak, and I fell back in love with it all. And hence, then Annie came up, and I just jumped at the chance to play that wonderful, wonderful woman.
Did your family come around and embrace it? Did your dad ever come and embrace it?
Dad hated it. I mean, he's since died of alcohol poisoning, bizarrely. I mean, it wasn't any surprise. We just didn't want that
to
in our
happen.
lives.
Of course.
Because we didn't want it to be suicide, you know, just the thought of it. But it ended up like that. But I think it's really important to get that message out there. You know, and I suppose I always look back on it and think, you know, through the dancing thing, that he actually helped me get through it. He did come round. He fell in love with, when I was a drag queen, you know, in a show called La Cage aux Folles. He came to see that. And that broke down a lot of barriers. And that's when he came round to the whole thing and just loved it, you know, in
And
the
what
end.
an amazing
bizarrely.
production for
Yeah,
that time, La Cage aux
exactly.
Folles.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Well, I think it
beautiful
just
piece.
resonated, you know, that it just showed that two men can actually fall in love and have a relationship. Yes, admittedly, at that time, in the 80s, it was a weird world, I suppose.
Talking of which, how is the gorgeous lovely, your other better half,
Oh, Jonathan, yeah, my better half. Well, he's studying like mad at the moment because he's going to be working for the ambulance service as a paramedic.
Oh,
which
is he?
It's going to be very
Fantastic,
useful
yeah.
seeing I'm 20 years older than him. Darling.
You're almost invincible. Haven't you had an operation, a hip replacement?
Yeah, I've had double hip replacement, yeah.
It's incredible to
So
be
what
up
have you
on
got?
stage.
Is it
I've got
titanium?
Titanium, darling.
Oh.
We're loving
Wow.
it. Yeah, well, I do have osteoarthritis. And that's sort of what started. And, of course, doing the can-can and in Paris and doing the splits every night did not help, and
No.
especially at parties drunk, you know. That's never going to go down well, but that was always
But you
my
look
party
great.
trick.
It's been
Well,
wonderful.
thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. I've
Listen,
just
Craig,
loved
this
that.
is certainly not my idea, I can tell you, but they've given you some paddles here. And I have a list of all the loose women who have been on Strictly.
Oh, dear.
And you're going to have
I'll only need numbers 1, 2 and 3, I think. Joking.
and so you've got a minute to rate all the loose women
I
who've
can
been
do
on
that.
Strictly. So first, back to 2005. We're going for Gloria. Come on, quick. 3. Frankie in 2014.
She was 9.
9. Sunetra, 2014.
Oh, she's a 7.
He remembers
definitely.
them all.
Yeah.
Ruth, 2017.
6.
6.
I was going to go 5, but that was unkind.
He's taking it seriously here. Katie, 2018. Katie Piper.
Oh, Katie Piper was great. Yeah, she's a 9.
Judy Love.
I love Judy Love.
Do you want-
I'm going to go 9.
There you go. That's all that I can
Hang
remember.
on. There's 1, darling. I need to score.
There's the one. Go.
No, I'm going to give you a 10. You really were. You're a great sport. That's fantastic.
Well, do you know what? My dad always says, God loves a trier. And I was extremely trying, I was. Oh, Craig, it's always great fun to have you here. It really has. But, you know, are you ever going to play a lovely character?
I don't know. I've never offered them. You know, I did a movie called Nativity Rocks. I was the villain in that. I was so vile that I made the children cry, but that was my direction.
Yeah.
I actually secretly enjoyed it, although it did sort of start passing over into real life, though. That's the thing, because the kids didn't get that I was acting. And I came up and said, oh, those tears, darling, you got in that shot.
When do you open it,
Absolutely
Amy?
wonderful.
Well,
I
listen,
put
you're
on
going to make us
next
cry
week.
because we're going to run over
Let's
Craig,
curve.
everyone.
Let's curve, darling. Oh, yeah.
Tomorrow, Sinetra's TV husband, former casualty and footballer's wife star, Jamie Davis, is going to be here. We'll see you then. Have a fabulous afternoon.